Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on the continuous improvement world, specifically looking at a resource tailor-made for leaders, folks deep in the Kaizen community.
That's right. We're digging into the second edition of Genba Ikigai,
Mhm.
Leading to Serve by Mark Forkham.
Right, Genba Ikigai.
And it's not just another lean manual. It's really trying to connect personal meaning with operational discipline in a leadership model.
Okay, let's unpack that core idea a bit. You've got these two big Japanese concepts right there in the title. Genba, we know that's, simply the place where the actual work gets done, where value is created.
Exactly. The real place.
But Ikigai, that's more about personal purpose, finding meaning in life, right?
Yeah.
How does that genuinely connect to, say, improving throughput on the shop floor? It sounds a bit abstract, maybe.
Well, that's the heart of the book's argument, and it's actually pretty revolutionary in its simplicity. It argues that sustainable operational excellence, true Kaizen culture, it doesn't just come from teaching people tools like VSM or 5S.
Okay.
It really stems from the leader's own internal sense of purpose, their Ikigai, and how that translates into predictable, visible habits they practice every single day, right there at the Genba.
So if the leader lacks that why, their actions, their presence at the Genba, it becomes inconsistent, maybe even superficial.
Spot on. If you don't know why you lead, beyond hitting targets, the habits don't stick. But if your personal why aligns with the mission of CI, that internal drive fuels concrete, repeatable actions, it changes the game.
That makes sense. It grounds the philosophy immediately. And I noticed this is framed as book 1 in a bigger series, starting with Leading Yourself. Plus, it's out in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, accessible.
Exactly. It lays the groundwork for a much larger developmental journey.
All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty, the core mechanism for change. If it's this habit-first transformation, what's the actual pathway the author lays out? How does a leader start?
It's fundamentally leader-centered. The whole approach is built on the foundation of servant leadership.
Okay, servant leadership. We hear that term a lot. How does this book define it in practice?
It positions the leader very clearly. You're not the chief problem solver dictating solutions from above. Your primary role is to be a service provider to your team.
A service provider.
Yes. And that service has two key functions: relentlessly removing obstacles that block the team's progress and creating an environment where consistent, safe learning can actually happen.
Right, and when a leader genuinely focuses on serving, on removing that friction, that directly tackles one of the biggest roadblocks in CI psychological safety.
Absolutely. If people feel safe to surface problems, to try things, maybe fail small without fear, that's when real improvement happens.
They won't hide the near misses or the small issues that could become big ones.
Precisely. And that's where the Ikigai at work idea really kicks in. When leaders foster that safety, individuals feel okay bringing their whole selves, their purpose, their Ikigai to the job. Engagement goes up, and so does the appetite for Kaizen.
Okay, that sounds great conceptually, but, for the manager who's swamped with emails and meetings, how do we prevent personal purpose from just sounding like, feel-good HR talk? That's where the habit framework comes in, I assume.
Absolutely. That's the critical link. It makes the philosophy actionable. The framework is built around 16 specific leadership habits.
16, okay.
Yeah, and they're described as really bite-sized, repeatable actions. The idea is that even a small amount of focused daily practice builds momentum. And crucially, they're scaffolded.
Scaffolded, meaning
Meaning they build on each other. You start with habits for self-leadership, getting your own routines right. Then you move to habits for leading others effectively, like coaching. And finally, habits for leading and managing entire systems.
16 specific habits. I have to push back a little here. For managers already juggling so much, isn't prescribing 16 new routines potentially just overwhelming? Another checklist.
That's a really fair point.
Yeah.
And the book seems to anticipate that. The structure is key. These aren't meant to be added on top of everything else. They're designed to be concise, routine-based habits that actually replace less effective, time-wasting activities.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A big one is around problem visibility. Instead of a vague goal like improve communication, a specific habit might be: before your daily team huddle, spend 5 minutes walking the Genba, specifically looking for one obstacle impacting flow, and make its removal the priority topic for the huddle.
Okay, I see. That's very concrete. It's not just go walk the Genba, it's go walk with this specific purpose and action in mind.
Exactly. It takes something abstract like respect for people and makes it an observable action. I respect you enough to see and remove the barriers you face.
So you see habits focused on those daily Genba walks, but also things like structured coaching routines, questioning techniques.
Yes, very much so. Formalized coaching, specific questioning patterns, leader standard work, it's all about making the leader's positive impact predictable and consistent. Think about advanced concepts like judoka automation, bringing that human intelligence to processes. The leader's habits are what ensure the problems surfaced by judoka are actually seen, understood, and acted upon. The habits fuel the system.
So what this really means for a practicing manager is it takes these big, sometimes intimidating lean pillars, JIT, Jidoka, Kaizen, and boils them down into non-negotiable daily actions at the point of value creation. It's less about belief, more about behavior.
You've nailed it. It's about operationalizing the culture change through consistent action.
Okay, that lays out the core philosophy really well, but we're specifically talking about the second edition. For leaders who might have seen the first, or for new readers, they need to know what's improved, what makes this edition worth getting now, what specific updates really enhance the practicality.
Right. The updates are quite significant, and they really seem geared towards addressing feedback and strengthening the application side. We can probably group them into a few key themes.
Okay, let's do that. Where should we start? Maybe with validation. Proof that this isn't just one person's theory.
Good place to start. So, validation and scope. The second edition really doubles down here. First, they've added 12 testimonials from around the world. This shows the framework isn't just a niche idea, it's being applied and working across different cultures and industries.
Global proof points, that's important.
Definitely. And for depth, the book has expanded. It's now 250 pages of Genba Genchi Genbutsu.
Okay, that phrase, Genba Genchi Genbutsu, classic lean speak. Can you just quickly remind us what that means in terms of the book's content?
Sure, it literally means go to the actual place to see the actual thing. So having 250 pages of it signifies the content is packed with real-world, observed insights directly from the places where work happens. It's not just theory spun in an office. It reflects time spent understanding reality.
Got it. Rich, practical experience baked in. What's next? How about the how-to? Practical application and coaching.
Yeah, this area saw major enhancements. Responding to requests for broader examples, there are 7 new case studies pulled straight from the Genba. And critically, these aren't just manufacturing. They cover logistics and service industries too.
That's key, showing the universality beyond the factory floor.
Absolutely. And recognizing that this approach requires leaders to shift how they lead, there are 6 additional pages focused purely on the art and practice of becoming an effective problem-solving coach.
Moving from telling to asking, that's a tough but crucial transition for many leaders.
It really is. And this edition gives more concrete guidance on making that shift.
Okay, so we have global validation, more diverse case studies, deeper coaching guidance. What about the bigger picture? Systemic support, organizational culture.
Huge additions here, too. There's a completely new section, a call to action specifically for HR. It outlines how HR can and should actively structure support systems to nurture a lean transition culture. It bridges that common gap between ops initiatives and HR practices.
That's often a missing link, getting HR aligned on supporting these new leader behaviors.
Exactly. And maybe one of the most vital additions is the advice on working with your sensei, your coach, or mentor. The book offers pointed advice on how to manage that relationship effectively for your lean transition, even calling it a potential make-or-break key point.
Wow. Highlighting the criticality of experienced guidance, that makes sense. It's not just about internal effort. External perspective is crucial.
Definitely. So you need the internal structures like HR support and that external wisdom from a sensei.
Great. What about just usability,
Yeah.
reading experience, clarity? Sometimes these books can be dense.
Address that too, under the banner of, let's say, structure and clarity. There's been specific work on improved layout, editing, and clearer explanations throughout, trying to make it easier to digest and apply.
Good. Little things matter for busy readers.
And visually, they've added more support. There are now 14 illustrations included. One key visual is the now famous 2-wheel model, which the book positions as the engine driving the entire Toyota House model.
Visual models definitely help concepts stick. I saw mention of parables, too.
Yes. Kind of a nice touch. 4 parables on wisdom thought have been added. These offer, memorable stories that add a layer of depth beyond just the tactical habits. Food for thought.
Adds a different dimension. And finally, looking ahead.
Yes, for those really invested in this journey, there's a sneak peek into the next 7 books planned for release in 2026. It confirms this is part of a much larger, comprehensive, multi-volume series on leadership development.
So it's clear this second edition isn't just a minor tweak. It's a substantial upgrade based on real-world application and feedback.
Absolutely. And when you step back and look at all these pieces, the habits, the coaching, the systemic support, you see how the book reframes those classic TPS pillars we mentioned, like just in time or judoka. They aren't presented as the goals themselves.
Right. They're the outcomes, the results you get when leaders consistently practice these people-first habits at the Genba.
Exactly. The habits enable the pillars to actually function sustainably.
Which brings us back to who really needs to read this now. It's obviously critical for operational leaders, CI practitioners.
But also, as we discussed,
Hmm.
HR and L&D professionals. Anyone involved in designing leadership development or shaping organizational culture needs to understand this habit-based approach. If you're responsible for performance at the Genba, this provides a concrete framework.
If you want sustainable results, you have to look at the leader's daily observable actions. It seems so obvious, yet often overlooked.
It's foundational.
Okay, that's a powerful place to wrap up the core discussion. So here's a final thought for you, our listeners, to chew on this week. If this book is right and sustained excellence comes from these consistent, positive leadership habits, what's the one leadership habit you currently practice, maybe unconsciously, that actually gets in the way of improvement? What single routine do you need to stop doing tomorrow to make space for one of these better Genba-focused standards?